I found a picture of a 2025 Ram 2500 Limited in Delmonico red. And at first I didn't think it was real, but then I started looking at it and then I went through the forum and I started to see that they probably just took off the camouflage and part of the grille was still covered. Now most of you know that Tim Kuniskis made a return back to Stellantis as the CEO of the Ram brand. And that's good news because if you're not familiar, he is responsible for the success of Dodge, especially the Hellcat. He pretty much made that brand one of the greatest automotive brands of the 2010s in my opinion, and some parts of the 2020s. But with that being said, Tim Kuniskis, if you do watch YouTube, you might want to watch this video. This being a 2500, I really think they have time to make some changes to this truck. Hopefully. But nevertheless, I'm going to show you guys this photo. I'm going to break down a few things. Love you.
Love you.
Wife's leaving. But yeah. No, she's not leaving me, but she's just leaving. So, actually, I'm sure you guys probably knew that. Like, I was like, love you. And then, like, oh, she's leaving me forever. No, okay. But yes, let's go ahead and jump into the video before I say something else crazy. And we'll see what Ram needs to do with this 2500 Limited. So as you guys saw in the thumbnail, this is what looks to be a 2025 Ram out of its camouflage. You can kind of see on the side here that there's some tape, looks like. And this kind of looks like a Frankenstein. I mean, it looks like they have part of the grille blacked out. They have the black wheels on it. So I'm wondering if they're just testing out just overall quality of these parts. I don't know. The grille is definitely new, obviously. It has kind of the same design except for the bottom part of it. And you can see that there is an adaptive cruise control sensor right there. Potentially this truck could have hands-free drive. I'm not really sure yet. But the headlight design is different. And apart from that, everything looks the same. Now you guys can see mega cab. We cannot see the rear suspension, and I'll talk about that in a second. But do you guys see the wheel design? That wheel design is very, very similar to another truck that I saw here. I had to pull it up for you guys, so here it is. That wheel design is like very similar to the Ford from 2022 with the black appearance package. Now with that being said, I'm not a huge fan of this update. It seems like it's very similar to what we've had for like the last 5 years now. Look at the hood. They're not utilizing any hood scoops for the new engine, which I was hoping to see. And yeah, it just looks like a slightly new headlight design, some new wheel options, and that's pretty much it. So let's go ahead and build a truck. I want to show you guys something really quickly. So this is a 2024, obviously, 2500. Now I did a video on this probably about 6 months ago. I had said that one of the biggest things that Ram needs to do for 2025, and hopefully they do this, is up the gross fuel weight rating for the 3/4 tons. Now, they don't have to make it standard. They can still have the 10,000 pound D-rate option if someone needs to build a truck to have that 10K number. But if you scroll down, let me see if I can find that option really quickly. They have air suspension, okay? And right now, GM has a max trailering package for the GMC and Chevy HDs for the 3/4 ton. Here it is. The air suspension is $1,705. They easily could add this with a few other options to give it a max tow, and they could give it an additional 1,000 pounds of payload. I'm hoping maybe like 1,300 pounds. That way it has just that 3,000 pounds on these higher trim levels. Now, again, I know some people are probably gonna disagree and say, well, you could just go to a 1 ton, and that is very true. But for some people, having 3,000 pounds of payload is all you really need for some trailers out there for the 3/4 ton. And I think that right now, there are some half tons that have about the same amount of payload as these Ram trucks right now. So yes, they don't need to raise the GVWR. They could just tell people to go to the 1 ton. But some people like the idea of having, you know, that coiled or even the airbags without the leaf pack. because these trucks, especially when you add the Bilsteins, they ride amazing. They're probably the best riding truck in the market. But back to this truck, what do you guys think about this? If I were in the market for a Ram, now that I've had one, I've had two. I had a 2018 and a 2019. I upgraded to the 2019 simply because I love the refresh that they did, or redesign it, whatever you want to call it. But for me personally, this is not exciting. And this is probably the trim level I would want. Now, obviously there's going to be a Tungsten, Limited Longhorn. Those two trim levels are now above the Limited for the half ton. But for this truck in particular, I'm not really seeing where I would be excited to get this. Of course, we don't know anything about the powertrains. We don't know. There potentially could be even a Cummins gas engine at some point, but I think they're going to be making updates to the Hemi. And obviously we know a lot more information about the new Cummins. But yes, this does not seem exciting. I think that hopefully with Tim Kuniskis coming back, this should make things a little bit better. Hopefully within 2 years, we'll get a complete redesign, maybe even 3 years, because this is truly a refresh. Even though some people say that 2019 was not a 5th gen, it's like a 4.5 gen. I think Ram consider that a 5th gen, because if you don't remember, Ford used their same cab configuration from like the late 90s all the way up till 2016 until they redesigned in 2017. And in 2017 to 2025 now is the same cab. So if you don't know, these trucks are really expensive to do, redesigns on. Like they have to spend a lot of money to develop these trucks. The framing on these trucks have to be durable. Obviously, the cab designs, hey, these trucks are pretty big. Even though this is an old cab, it is smaller than the rest, but it's not much smaller, especially if you get a mega cab configuration. But yes, I think a lot of people are just looking to see what they're going to do with the powertrain. Something I have not talked about yet is, are they going to be doing a higher axle ratio out back? Now that we have an 8-speed transmission, there's really no need for them to have the 373. They could do what Ford and GM do. Ford has the 331, I believe it is, and you could upgrade that to a 355. GM just gives you a 342. Now, potentially, we'll probably still see a 373, because now that I think about it, the Hemi has a 373 and 410 option with the 8-speed. So it's very possible that Ram might still give us that 373 for the single rear wheel trucks on the diesel engine. Because if you think about it, they're not going to be getting a big horsepower and torque gain to compete with Ford high output power stroke. I think I heard 430 from TFL, 430 horsepower and about the same amount of torque, but that's not confirmed yet. But I want to hear from you guys. What are your thoughts on this new truck? I think personally, if Ram does decide to raise that gross vehicle weight rating, all that's going to do is put them in line with GM and Ford for payload. And of course, with the 1-ton trucks, they're a little bit further behind, but they're not too much farther behind. And if you don't know this, the reason why you could not get the high output and the Eisen for these 2024 and earlier pickups is simply because the Eisen transmission is heavy. It's a commercial transmission. So those are the type of transmission you'll see in a box truck, things like that. But in the Ram segment, because of that 10,000 pound gross vehicle weight rating, they've always been limited to what they can offer in this 3/4 ton truck. Now they have the power line. I'm not even assuming that the power line is not going to be heavy. It's probably going to still be, heavier than a 68 RFE, but it's probably not going to be as heavy as the Eisen. So we'll just have to wait and see what Ram does. I think that this limited trim level that you guys see here is definitely not a step in the right direction. I am glad that Tim Kuniskis is back. Hopefully he can make some major changes within the next couple years. We have this new Cummins, right? We have a new Cummins coming, and between now and when they do a full redesign, hopefully this Cummins can become bulletproof. So this might be a good spot for Ram to really test out this engine, and then once it's perfected, add a horsepower and torque upgrade for the next redesign, and boom, we'll be in business. So yes, I'm pretty sure GM is going to be doing a complete redesign in a couple years, maybe 3 years. And Ford's already done their redesign technically in 2023, so we probably won't see an update on that truck for maybe another year or two as well. So hope you guys liked the video. I'm really excited to see this truck unveiled. You guys have seen my last videos I've done with Josh on the powertrains, so we'll have to see if Ram's going to answer maybe in a couple years, because this truck is not exciting. I'm just gonna be honest with you, it's not that exciting. We'll have to wait and see what they do with the gas engine and diesel to really get excited. But for what I'm seeing here, you guys see it. I mean, this truck is just not that exciting. I'm sorry. Nothing about it makes me be like, oh man, I'm excited to get another Ram truck. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section, and see you guys soon.